Hello everybody and welcome to Video Clips, and I have sitting with me here Eileen Kopsaftis, my favorite physical therapist and also our physical therapist business partner. And she's smiling. So are a lot of people who got her to do some work with them while they were here, smiling because they're not in pain anymore. And it was kind of interesting when you were doing sessions here to watch the people go in and see the difference in their demeanor when they came out. So yes. You do great work. You do great work. So, well, first of all, what was your favorite, maybe couple things that happened at the conference? Just curious.
Oh my goodness. I loved hearing Anthony Lim. He was amazing. I learned so much from him, and I loved how he simplified things. And he made me realize I need to simplify more about how I teach people how to get out of pain. Mm-hmm. Because it's the basics are really the most important things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and he's got a great sense of humor.
Oh, he was funny.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I want to go to his conference where we'll all be allowed to toot.
Yeah. Yeah, so you have to watch the video. We do have videos of the conference which you can subscribe to and get access to. And it'd probably be worth watching those videos just to hear that section. But second most favorite thing?
Second most favorite. I love Cheryl Atkinson.
Yeah.
I mean, she was just, I was like this. Yeah. Listening to her. She's an incredible woman, beautiful inside and out. And,
yes.
Oh
and
my
a
gosh.
Very principled person. And some of what she had to say about vaccines shocked me, and I thought I was beyond being shocked. If you don't know who she is, she's an investigative reporter, and who has stood on principle to basically say, I will not allow my work to be edited in the interest of sponsors and that sort of thing. She wrote a great book called The Smear about how in politics and healthcare, how easy it is to discredit people and come up with campaigns, and she's suing the Department of Justice of the United States, so you do have to watch the videos. That was an interesting
That's a brave
story.
Woman.
Yeah, very interesting story.
Yes, yes.
All right, well let's give the people some really great great information about how they can help themselves out there. So you had you did a lot of individual sessions, then you had a major presentation in front of the group, 2 Q&As, and also 2 breakout sessions.
Yes.
You have to be pretty busy.
Yes.
This trip.
Yes, yes, yes. I hit the ground running when I come to this conference.
No grass growing under the feet.
Yeah.
All right, so you were out, obviously asked a lot of questions. So what do you think were the three most interesting questions that people asked?
Well, I don't know if you could classify these as the most interesting, but they stood out to me.
Okay.
Mainly because they are issues that many people deal with and aren't dealing with them appropriately. And one of them would be when the person asked about stretching. What's the proper way to stretch? And unfortunately, my profession is notorious for telling half the world that their hamstrings are tight. And it's kind of like, it's not really accurate. So muscles can be tight or taut. And I actually was introduced to this concept by Sue Hitzman, who's the creator of the MELT method. So I'm sort of borrowing from the knowledge I gained from her. But basically, when a muscle is tight, it's short on both ends, okay? And that's a muscle you would want to stretch. But a muscle can be taut, T-A-U-T, and it means that it's not shortened, it's at its maximum length, and it's holding on for dear life. It's usually trying to stabilize something. So say your hamstrings are taut, and they're not tight, okay? And they're trying to stabilize your pelvis, because people don't realize, you know, when you bend forward, those major muscle groups like the glutes, the low back, the deep hip muscles are meant to stabilize you, to keep you from falling on your face. Those muscles eccentrically load, they lengthen under tension to keep you from falling. And so if you don't have that muscle function because you're sitting on your butt and you have what I call pancake butt, right? There's no glute there, it's not firing. So your hamstrings are like the reins on a horse trying to keep you from falling over. You're not even aware any of this is happening because the body is great at compensating until the pain occurs. And so if those hamstrings are taut and then you stretch them, imagine the damage you can do.
Oh, yeah.
You're either going to injure the hamstring or you're going to destabilize the pelvis. Neither one is a good idea.
Which is why sometimes when people are trying to do things for themselves, they find online programs and that sort of thing, they make things worse instead of better. They go to bad trainers and yoga teachers and that sort of thing.
Exactly. And a lot of well-meaning trainers and things may not even be aware of these concepts. And
how would somebody know if the muscle's tight or taut?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. What I found is that if it's a muscle that you just can't seem to stretch, then it's probably not tight.
Okay.
right? The people who say, I'm always so tight, I can never stretch that out, it never lengthens, it never, well then it's probably taut.
Okay.
And so that would be the
So
first
if you don't get better
clue.
after a few yoga classes, you might want to look into another way of helping
Right.
yourself.
Right, absolutely.
All right. So give us another one.
Okay. Oh gosh, there were so many questions that were so good. What to do if you're sedentary, if your job requires you to sit all the time. So I tell people, well, our bodies were designed for movement. We're not really designed to sit all the time. And even the standing desks, those are creating more issues. They're just different issues because we're not meant to stand still all day either. We really need to be moving. So, you know, I know some people have a job where they say, well, I can't really leave my desk. I can't move. I can't walk around. I can't do this. I can't do that. Well, you can at least, you can be on the phone. You don't have to hang up. And you can stand up and bend backward and do some extension just to open up that front that gets shortened. What happens is a lot of people are told that their psoas is tight, that hip flexor. And what that does is it's just that it's gotten really used to keeping the body stable when they're sitting. And then when they go to stand up, it doesn't know how to keep you stable because now it's longer than it's been with all that sitting. So it disrupts the body function. So if you're regularly standing up and bending backwards throughout the day, you're going to negate a lot of that issue. Also, you know, doing, and I loved Anthony Lim actually said he does his push-ups and his all this stuff and pull-ups and things. Well, not everybody can do push-ups in their office. So, but you can do chair squats because everybody's got a chair. And so you want to make sure that you're squatting so your knees stay against the chair and your butt's going backward like a seat-seeking missile. You don't want the knees going forward and then you're going to trash your knees and all that unhappy stuff. So, I mean, you know, you could still be on the phone and be doing some chair squats. I mean, there's ways to use the body even if you're stuck in a sedentary job.
Yeah, and I don't think people think about that. It
Right.
seems to be, well, I have to sit all day, there's nothing I can do. And so maybe I'll try to fix it between 5:30 and when I go to
Right.
bed, you know, with
Right.
an hour of something. But that's
And the
great.
data actually shows that if you're sitting all day without moving, and then you exercise a lot in the evening or on the weekend, it still doesn't really negate the damage of sitting all day.
Well, they say sitting is the new smoking.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that's true.
We call it the desk sentence.
I have a little bit of that. Fortunately, you know, one comment that you made, I'm kind of lucky because even though I have to do a lot of sitting, I'm in this big building where you have to go a long way to get stuff. If you need envelopes or postage or you need paper or you need a file or whatever, nothing is very close to anything in a space this size. Everybody here only sees this room, but this is a very big place and that kind of works in your favor.
That does help. That
Yeah,
does
and
help.
you made the comment, if you can have stuff in other places.
Right.
You know.
Move your pencil sharpener across the office, so you have to get up and go over there to sharpen the pencil.
And it may not be a good idea to have a whole drawer full of office supplies if you can justify getting up and going to get the office supplies, which I do, by the way. That's one of the things I do.
Correct, yeah. It's a good idea.
Third thing, one more.
Oh, one more. Oh my goodness. Think. How about, well, there was an interesting question that somebody had about the fact that they had rib pain
Oh,
after
yes, I
eating
remember that.
legumes. And of course I kind of joked and said, well, that sounds like gas, right? But then the person spoke up and said that it happened the day after consuming the legumes. Well, if you're noticing a relationship between musculoskeletal pain and eating, then it's a digestive issue. There's no way that that can be a musculoskeletal issue. And people don't realize that the gut, you know, you've got your brain and you have an enteric nervous system in your gut. Your brain doesn't run your digestion. You actually have, which of course you know, I'm preaching to the choir here, but people don't realize that, and there's lots of nerves and lots of things that go on when you're digesting your food, and that could be, if the digestive process is struggling, it could be triggering some other areas of the body nerve-wise, which is why they might be getting those symptoms. So yeah, it's rarely musculoskeletal if it's related to consuming food.
You know, all the people that I've been talking to who were presenters at our conference, and everybody essentially arrives at the same place where you just did, which is everything's all connected. You can't just deal with a joint.
I had them, one of my breakout sessions, I had the entire audience say, everything's connected to everything else.
Yes, because you can't just deal, and I love when you said at the conference, you know, don't let yourself become a body part to a group of doctors. Like they see a kidney walking in, and then this doctor sees a prostate walking in, and then you got another doctor who sees a colon walking in. You want to be a whole person to anybody who's trying to help you with health issues.
And if you're going to see somebody for pain, you're not a knee that walks in the door or a shoulder that walks in the door. Everything's connected, and it's almost like these people forget their anatomy. I had a supervisor once who was a little threatened by what I did, and she said, you know, if somebody comes in with a shoulder problem, you can't be treating their back. If they come in with a neck problem, you can't be treating their back. And so she had no clue I was actually being sarcastic. Well, how low can I treat them if they're a neck patient?
What did she say?
She said, well, maybe you can go to T1 or T2,
Some
but no lower than that.
off.
And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, pick up your anatomy book. We've got paraspinals that go from the skull all the way down to the tailbone. It's not cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacrum. It's spine.
Yeah. Well,
It's crazy.
You know what this reminds me of, and is a good way to finish, I think. When Dr. Janice Stanger was talking at the conference and doing her presentations, one of the things she said, she talks a lot about understanding your body and function. Mm-hmm. And she said if all consumers learned how to understand their body and how it works, then they would hear some of these kinds of things and they would say, well, that can't be right. Based on what I know about biochemistry and my body and how it works and everything else, that idea is just plain stupid. And so that we could say that this idea that this person came up with is just plain stupid.
Just plain stupid, absolutely. And Janice is amazing at clarifying what's stupid.
I know.
That's her gift.
And I love her analogies. And one of the things that Kelly said when we were kind of wrapping everything up yesterday, she said, that Dr. Janice Stanger, that's the funniest she's ever been.
She's great.
She has a great sense of humor.
Dry delivery, too.
I know.
Awesome.
She'd make a great stand-up comedian if the topic wasn't so serious. All right, well, thank you as always for being here, for doing such a great job. Hit the subscribe button and then pass this on to people who you think might enjoy it, and I'll be back to you next time with more news.